Millionaire discovers Nanny's shocking secret daughter's cancer journey takes a dark turn. Every heart in the glittering mansion skipped a beat the moment the news broke. There in the grand living room, amidst sparkling chandeliers and the soft hum of classical music, stood Ethan Moore, a billionaire known for his firm hand and keen mind. But today, his piercing blue eyes were unnaturally wide. He'd just uncovered a truth that could change everything. His daughter Mia, brave as they come, had been battling cancer, an invisible foe, but what was worse? A hidden secret buried deeper than the diagnosis itself, lurking in the shadows. The nanny, a humble woman named Sarah, had always been more than just a caregiver. Ethan's friends whispered that she was too good to be true, a guardian angel cooking gourmet meals and tucking Mia in with whispered fairy tales. Yet, the moment he overheard hushed voices drifting from the kitchen, a chill raced down his spine. Sarah had a past. One he couldn't ignore. Whispers of something dark and sinister followed her, rumors that hinted at a tangled web of deception and long-buried trauma. Was it merely gossip, or was there a kernel of truth? As the clock ticked ominously, the room felt like a pressure cooker, about to blow. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that an icy hand had wrapped around his chest, squeezing tight with anxiety. Who was Sarah really? What if the very person entrusted with Mia's care harbored secrets that could endanger her? Every moment teetered precariously, each breath feeling heavier. And then, as the tension cracked the air like a whip, Ethan caught Sarah's eyes, darting away, filled with desperation. It was then he decided he needed answers, and fast. Questions flooded his mind. Why had she been so evasive? What was the truth? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Ethan's thoughts raced. Mia needed her strength, but so did he. Was Sarah protecting her from something far more terrifying than cancer? In that moment of pure uncertainty, hope flickered like a candle flame in a storm. The truth hung in the air like damp fog, thick and suffocating. With each passing second, the stakes grew higher. As Ethan's heart raced, he grasped the edge of the table, knuckles white, and made a promise to himself. He would uncover the truth, no matter the cost, but what waited beyond the threshold of revelation? Who would emerge healthy, and who would be scarred? The answer felt just out of reach, leaving everything shrouded in darkness. Ethan stood frozen, the world around him fading into a blur as adrenaline coursed through his veins. His breath came in sharp gasps, the fear clawing at his throat. He needed to confront Sarah, but every moment felt like a choice between the safety of ignorance and the chaos of truth. Gathering what remained of his resolve, Ethan strode past the guests still mingling, oblivious to the tempest brewing behind the shimmering facade. He reached the kitchen door and hesitated for a heartbeat, the sounds of laughter echoing faintly on the other side. His heart thudded. Sarah, he called, stepping inside the quieter confines of the kitchen. The moment Ethan entered, heavy silence swallowed the space. Sarah stood by the sink, her back turned, the flickering light above creating shadows that enveloped her. "Mr. Moore," she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "What brings you here?" "Cut the act, Sarah. We need to talk," he said, the urgency lacing his tone. She turned slowly, her face pale, eyes wide with something more than simple surprise. About Mia," he pushed, feeling the weight of his words. "And whatever it is you're hiding." For a moment, fear flickered across her features, just a glimpse, but it was enough for Ethan to realize he had struck a nerve. Sarah took a shaky breath, glancing around as if searching for an escape. "Please, just let me explain," she stammered. "It's not what you think." Ethan wouldn't allow it. "Then tell me the truth, Sarah." If there is something endangering my daughter, I deserve to know. The kitchen suddenly felt claustrophobic. Sarah shifted, looking down at her trembling hands, and he noticed a flash of something guilt. Desperation. It's complicated. I was trying to keep her safe, she murmured, voice breaking. Safe from what? He pressed, praying for an answer amidst the dread pooling in his stomach. After a long, excruciating pause, Sarah inhaled sharply. I used to work for someone, not just a family. A man who has a reputation. A dangerous one. Ethan's heart raced. What do you mean? What did he do? He was involved in illegal dealings. I left that life behind, but he found me. I thought I was free until Mia got sick. Every word wrapped around Ethan's chest, tightening like a noose. You think this man is after Mia? Sarah's gaze faltered. I don't know, but I can't let him find out I'm here. He might try to. Suddenly, the sound of a shattered glass echoed through the house, cutting through the tension like a knife. Both Ethan and Sarah jumped, eyes darting to the living room. What was that? She gasped. I don't know, but we need to find out. Ethan rushed toward the door, but Sarah's hand caught his wrist. Please, Ethan. You need to be careful. If he is here, if he knows where I am. The urgency in her voice sent a shiver down his spine. What have you brought into my home, Sarah? Just then, a figure appeared in the shadow of the doorway, tall and imposing. The air froze in anticipation. Ethan's heart pounded louder than the music. Whispers of dread filled his mind. Had the storm he feared truly come to their doorstep, the figure stepped forward, and a chilling laughter echoed as recognition settled in Ethan's senses. What a pleasant gathering we have here, the stranger smirked, eyes glinting with malice. As the tension surged past the threshold of comprehension, Ethan was left with a single, terrifying realization: the truth was far darker than he ever anticipated, and it might cost him everything. What did Sarah's past truly hold? And could they keep Mia safe from the dark figure looming in the light? Ethan's heart raced as the stranger surveyed the room, his malicious grin poised like a predator sizing up his prey. The flickering kitchen light cast odd shadows across his face, making his smile appear even more sinister. Who are you? Ethan's voice trembled slightly, betraying the torrent of fear inside him. Let's just say I'm an old friend of Sarah's, the figure replied, his tone smooth and mocking. She and I have some unfinished business. Ethan felt Sarah's hand tighten around his wrist, her grip a blend of urgency and fear. No, this isn't how it's supposed to be, she whispered, her eyes darting from Ethan to the man, panic painting her features. Not how it's supposed to be. The stranger chuckled darkly. You thought you could run away? You thought I'd just let you leave? No, Sarah, you can't escape your past, no matter how hard you try. Ethan's mind raced. What do you want from her? Ah, Mr. Moore, the man leaned closer, a predatory glint in his eyes. It's not just Sarah I'm interested in. It's the girl Mia. She's caught in the crossfire of this delightful little game we're playing. A cold dread settled in Ethan's stomach. Stay away from her. Or what? You'll protect her. You're in way over your head, my friend. He straightened up, taking a casual step back, arms spread wide as if inviting trouble. You wouldn't want your daughter to be in danger, would you? Sarah's breathing quickened, and Ethan felt her body trembling beside him. Please, she's just a child. You can't, child or not, it doesn't matter. She's a pawn in our chess match, and she doesn't even know it. Ethan's mind reeled. He had to act fast. Sarah, we need to leave. Now. But before he could pull her toward the door, the man interjected, his voice laced with dark amusement. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Not if you care about your little girl. The words hung in the air thick as fog, chilling Ethan to the bone. What are you trying to say? Let's just say I have a way of getting what I want. And if it's Mia's safety you care about, you'll play my game. Ethan glanced at Sarah, who looked both hopeful and terrified. What kind of game? The man leaned in, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. I'm going to give you a chance to keep your daughter safe, but it comes with a price. First, prove you can keep secrets as well as she does. What I reveal could change everything. When I call you, you'll respond. No questions asked. If you fail well, I'm sure you understand how dangerous I can be. The stranger stepped back, his laughter echoing through the small kitchen before he turned to leave. Enjoy the party, Mr. Moore. And don't keep me waiting. As the door swung shut, a suffocating silence filled the kitchen. Ethan felt a pit of despair settle in his gut. What do we do now? Sarah's voice wavered, filled with an urgency that made her sound almost small. Ethan's mind swirled with confusion and fury. He had to protect Mia. But how? I won't put her in danger, Sarah. I promise you that. Yet deep down, he felt the shadows of guilt creeping in. How could he trust the woman he once considered family? Outside, the party continued in unsuspecting bliss, laughter and music drifting in. But within, everything had changed. Mia was now caught in a web of secrets that could unravel their family, and time was running short. The real question loomed large: how far would Ethan go to shield his daughter from threats that stalked in the night, and with the game now set, what sacrifices would he have to make to survive? Ethan's heart pounded as he instinctively checked the locked door, its frame feeling like a flimsy barricade against the darkness looming outside. He turned to Sarah, whose face was a canvas of stress and regret. The laughter and clinking of glasses from the party felt like they were coming from a different world, one where danger didn't have a name. Didn't hold Mia. Sarah, Ethan said, his voice low but intense, do you understand what he just threatened? We can't trust anyone right now. Her eyes flickered with fear. I know. But we can't just stay here and do nothing. We have to find Mia. Ethan grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to focus on him. Listen to me. We don't know what he is capable of. I won't put her at risk, especially not because of your past. Ethan, please, she pleaded, her voice trembling. I know more than I've let on. This isn't just about me. It's about Mia too. What does that mean? He snapped, his frustration spilling over. What don't I know about her? Before Sarah could respond, Ethan felt the air shift, a thick tension hanging between them. He realized he had to make a choice: either dig into Sarah's secrets and risk learning something he might regret, or step out into that party and face whatever awaited them. Grimacing, he released her shoulders. Let's just go find her. We'll deal with everything else later. They slipped out of the kitchen cautiously, hearts racing at the absurdity of having to return to normalcy when every fiber of their being was screaming for vigilance. The moment they stepped into the living room, Ethan's senses kicked into high gear. Mia was likely mingling with the other children under the supervision of the other nannies. Lennox, the man from Sarah's past, had painted a target on her back, and some sick game was afoot. Where to? Sarah asked, scanning the crowd. First, let's check the backyard. The kids usually play there, he suggested, and Sarah nodded, urgency coursing through her veins. As they moved through the party, Ethan's eyes darted from face to face, watching the smiles and laughter unfold around him. They felt like phantoms in a scene drenched in innocence, where he and Sarah were the only ones aware of the looming danger. Just as they reached the back door, shouts erupted nearby. A group of children laughed wildly, their voices echoing like chimes in the night. Ethan pushed the door open, shattered sunlight bathed the yard as he stepped outside. There, against the backdrop of the setting sun, Ethan spotted Mia, her soft laughter like a cocoon shielding her from the dark reality building around them. Mia! He yelled, his voice cutting through the joyous noise. She turned, eyes glimmering with delight, unaware of the shadows drawing ever closer. But as she ran toward him, something in the distance caught Ethan's gaze. A silhouette, watching. It couldn't be Mia. Come here. Now. He beckoned, panic setting in as the figure slowly melted into the darkness. "What is it, Dad?" Mia asked, her cheerfulness faltering as she approached. "Just come on, sweetheart." As she reached them, Ethan could feel the weight of Sarah's past pressing heavily on his chest. The looming threat, the stranger's laughter echoing in his mind, it was all a bitter reminder of the inevitable confrontation, and then, a sudden buzz vibrated through Ethan's pocket. He glanced down, his heart climbing into his throat at the sight of an unknown number flashing on the screen. Sarah's eyes were wide. "Ethan, don't answer." It could be him. But it wasn't just a call, it was a notification that could change everything. It could expose a truth they weren't prepared to face. With trembling hands, he pressed answer, uncertainty swirling in his gut. "Hello." A voice slithered through the receiver, smooth and dangerous. "Good. You're finally playing the game. And don't worry about Mia for now." Ethan's grip on the phone tightened, pulse racing. "What do you want?" "Let's just say it's time to show what you're capable of. Meet me, and I'll reveal all. But beware, if you refuse, well, the price is steep." The line went dead. "Mia," he rasped. With dread pooling in his stomach, "We have to go. Now." As they turned to run, the shadows lengthened, reflecting the chilling truth unfolding. Right then, Ethan realized they had not just entered a game, they were now the main players. And every choice would echo through their lives in ways they couldn't yet comprehend. What was at stake? And what other secrets lay hidden, ready to spring forth? Ethan grabbed Mia's hand tightly, the warmth of her small fingers a stark contrast to the frigid dread that clung to him. "We need to find a safe place," he said, trying to sound calm, even though his heart thundered in his chest. Sarah's eyes darted nervously as they moved away from the yard, the sounds of laughter fading behind them, replaced by a heavy stillness that felt out of place at the party. "Ethan, wait," Sarah whispered, looking back toward the house. "What if he has someone watching us? We can't just run into the open like this. You think he's just going to let us walk away?" Ethan shot back, his voice hoarse with urgency. "We can't stay here. We need to get away from all these people." Mia looked up, her innocent eyes wide. "Where are we going?" Ethan hesitated. "I'm not sure yet, but I promise I won't let anything happen to you." They ducked around the side of the house, the shadows thickening. The air felt electric, crackling with foreboding. Ethan's breath quickened as paranoia gripped him. Every sound seemed amplified: the rustle of the leaves, the sudden chirp of a bird. What did he mean by "the price is steep"? Sarah murmured, almost to herself, her brows knitting together. "Let's not think about that right now," Ethan replied, steeling himself against the uncertainty that clawed at his resolve. "We have to focus on keeping Mia safe." But as they turned the corner, Ethan froze, halting Sarah and Mia dead in their tracks. A car idled in the distance, its headlights cutting through the dusk like a predator's eyes. "It looks like someone is waiting," he whispered, feeling the hair on his neck rise. Mia squirmed, her lip quivering. "I'm scared, Daddy." "Just hold on to me, sweetheart," he said, moving closer to her. They pressed against the wall, the coolness of the bricks grounding him, but it didn't diminish the dread that pooled in the pit of his stomach. "Should we call the police?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "No time for that," Ethan replied quickly, instinct propelling him forward. He looked toward the party's entrance, hoping to see a way inside, the safety of the crowd beckoning him back. "We need to get to another exit, away from this car. It can't be a coincidence." Just then, a figure stepped out of the shadows, a silhouette against the flickering porch lights. "Ethan," the voice called out, low and taunting. Every muscle in Ethan's body tensed. He knew that voice. "Lennox. What do you want?" Ethan spat, resolved to shield Mia and Sarah. Lennox stepped closer, his face finally visible, a cruel smile twisting his features. "You didn't think I'd let you slip away, did you?" Not after all that has happened. What do you want? Ethan repeated, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. I want you to play the game. Lennox gestured toward the winding path that led to the street. Make a choice, Ethan. Bring Mia to me, or keep running and risk losing her. Panic washed over him, a storm of emotions swirling. Ethan glanced at Mia, her innocent eyes reflecting a trust that he couldn't betray. No. Sarah shouted, stepping protectively in front of Mia. You won't hurt her. Not while we're here. Such courage. Lennox sneered. But courage doesn't keep children safe. You should know that by now. Ethan's heart sank. He was pitted against a monster who knew far too much. What secrets lay buried behind Sarah's past? What had she done to draw this tormentor into their lives? As the tension mounted, the world around them felt suspended, every decision weighted with dire consequence. In 3 minutes, Lennox continued, I'll give you a choice. The clock's ticking. With that ominous command, he vanished into the shadows, leaving only uncertainty clawing at Ethan's sanity. What do we do? Sarah asked, fear etched on her face. Just stay close, Ethan whispered, gripping Mia's hand tighter as the minutes seemed to stretch on endlessly. As they stepped into the night, the question loomed over them like a dark cloud, would they be able to outsmart Lennox and protect Mia from whatever wicked game he had planned? Time was slipping away, and every passing second could seal their fate. What would they sacrifice to keep her safe? Ethan felt the air close in around them, pressing against his chest like a vice. Minutes ticked away, each second thickening the tension until he could barely breathe. What if we just run? Mia whispered, her small voice shaky. Her grip tightened around his hand, her trust radiating warmth even in their dire situation. Running could make things worse, he said, forcing himself to sound calm. Lennox wants us to react. We can't give him that satisfaction. Sarah's eyes darted around, scanning the shadows. But we have no plan. We can't just stand here. Let us just retreat a little further into the shadows, Ethan suggested, hoping to buy time. The glow from the party felt like a memory, an illusion of safety. They moved quietly, inching along the brick wall as if it could protect them. There was a rustle in the bushes nearby, making him jump. What was that? Ethan whispered, drawing Mia closer. Just a cat, Sarah replied, but her voice trembled. Right? Ethan strained to hear anything beyond their breathing, anything that didn't belong in the night. His instincts screamed at him to move, to act. He was the protector. He had to be. Okay, he said, we have to come up with a distraction. Maybe we can lure him away from the car. Sarah's brow furrowed. How? We don't even know what he is capable of. If he wants Mia, he must not harm her immediately. That means he wants something else, maybe the threat of her being harmed is the game itself. It gives him power, Ethan said, his voice low and steady. Maybe I can distract him, Sarah offered, panic mixing with desperation in her voice. If I can draw his attention, no. Ethan interrupted, his heart racing. You're not putting yourself in danger. I'd rather face him alone. Mia looked back and forth between them, confusion and fear washing over her little face. Can we just go home? She asked, her voice small. Home isn't safe, Ethan said gently, kneeling down to meet her gaze. We need to outsmart Lennox. Remember, he thinks he is in control. But we're still on our feet. Together. As they huddled close, Ethan realized a disturbing thought: what if this was a game he couldn't win? What if the clock ran out before he could protect what mattered most? Time continued to slip. He glanced at his wristwatch, the minutes ticking down. 2 minutes, he whispered, urging them to pick up their pace. How do we distract him? Sarah pressed, her voice trembling. We can't just wait here. As if on cue, the ground beneath them trembled. The rumble of the party faded, replaced by the sound of approaching footsteps. Ethan's heart raced, blood pounding in his ears. It was too late. They had waited too long. "Get ready," he growled, his instincts kicking in, adrenaline surging through him. But when he looked around, a sense of doom crept into his mind. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The figure of Lennox re-emerged, stepping into the thin light cast by the party. This time, he had a phone pressed to his ear, his demeanor lounging as if he had all the time in the world. A sickening smirk twisted his lips. "Time's up," he said, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. "Ethan." Mia whimpered, and his heart splintered at the sound. "We'll think of something. We have to think fast," Ethan hissed, locking eyes with Sarah. But as he reached for her arm, his instincts screamed louder. What if asking for help was already a mistake? What if Lennox had already anticipated their every move? "Bring me Mia, and I'll show you the way out," Lennox continued, his voice biting through the darkness. "What does he want? What does he know?" Ethan demanded, his mind racing. Before he could contemplate an answer, the world flipped beneath their feet as the realization hit him this was a trap, and they were standing right in the center of it. They needed to act. But would it be enough? The weight of the choice bore down on him. What could he offer to save Mia, and at what cost? Would they gamble with an unpredictable enemy? Just then, the sound of sirens pierced the air. Hope and dread twisted in Ethan's gut like poison. Were the police coming? Or was it too late? "Don't move," he yelled, fear coursing through him as their fate flickered like a dying flame that he was about to lose everything. The next moments could turn into a nightmare. Just then, a glimmer of hope emerged through the chaos, a phone ringing in his pocket. Could it be salvation? "Answer it," Sarah urged, eyes wide, but was that friend still there, or had they become another pawn in the game? Something wicked was waiting in the darkness, and they were running out of time. Ethan felt the weight of the world compressing around him. The urgent ring of his phone echoed like a bell tolling in the night, a desperate cry for help, or yet another layer of deception. He glanced at Sarah, her eyes wide with fear, before deciding who might be on the other end. "Do you really think it's safe?" he whispered. The sirens drew closer, a cacophony of hope and terror mingling in his chest. If it's the wrong person, without waiting for an answer, Ethan reached into his pocket, every nerve in his body buzzing, and pulled out the phone. It was Blake, his childhood friend who had always been just a text away. But what if Lennox had already turned Blake against him? He steeled himself as he swiped the screen to answer. "Ethan." Blake's voice burst through, frantic and breathless. "I heard something was wrong. Where are you?" "Blake, listen to me. We're in a situation. Can you get someone here fast?" Ethan's voice was sharp, every word dripping with urgency. "What happened?" "I can't just get here. I'll explain later." He hung up mid-sentence, a rush of adrenaline surging again. But the moment of relief squashed flat when Lennox left his casual stance and took a deliberate step closer. His smirk faded, replaced by something sharper, predatory. "Just a friend?" "How quaint," he said, his voice smooth yet dripping with malice. "But it won't matter. You'll need to choose, Ethan." Ethan inhaled sharply, the tension thick in the air. "Choose what?" Lennox leaned in, the stench of his cheap cologne curling around Ethan's nostrils as he gestured vaguely towards Mia. "This or that? Your little girl or your precious friend? I'm feeling generous tonight, let's make it a three-way negotiation." Mia clung to Ethan's arm, shaking slightly. "Dad, please." "Shut up." Lennox barked, and a wave of fury surged within Ethan's veins. "Don't you touch her," he growled, stepping protectively in front of Mia, who buried her face against his back. Lennox laughed, a sound that sent chills racing down Ethan's spine. "You think that'll help? This is where I win. You're out of time, and you want to play hero." Panic lanced like a knife through Ethan. He called to Sarah, whose face was pallid, her breath uneven. "We'll make it through this, together," he said, trying to cast confidence even as dread clawed at his insides. "Ethan, we have to act. The longer we wait," her voice trailed off, grim realization settling over them. A distant wail from the sirens surrounded them. They were so close, yet Lennox's presence was a shadow looming over their hope. Ethan's heart raced, time was slipping away. Could Blake even break through to them in time? Or would it be too late? "Your friend won't help you," Lennox taunted, his eyes glinting with sadistic pleasure. "He's just another piece on my board. And you'll have to decide. Enough with the mind games." Ethan shouted. "Whatever you want, you can't have her. Watch me." With a flick of his wrist, Lennox pulled a knife from his pocket, the blade gleaming under the faint light. Everything froze. Time suspended in a heartbeat. "Get away from her!" Ethan roared, stepping forward, ready to sacrifice anything to protect Mia. But the night was treacherous, and before they could act, the phone vibrated fiercely again in his hand, a message lighting up the screen. "Ethan. I'm outside." Panic turned to raw fear. The fight-or-flight instinct surged within him. Every second counted. "Don't move!" Ethan shouted into the growing storm of confusion as Lennox's gaze darkened. But behind him, another sound emerged, footsteps, hurried and loud. Had they come for him? As he turned to face the noise, something shifted in the shadows. Everything could change in a heartbeat. What would emerge from the darkness next? Was it salvation, or yet another nightmare? The footsteps grew louder, echoing off the walls like a countdown to chaos. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a reminder that time was not on their side. He dared to hope that Blake had arrived, but the world was often cruel. The shadows twisted around him, stretching out like fingers gripping tight. "Mia, stay close," Ethan urged, lowering himself slightly, ready to shield her with his body. He caught a glimpse of fear mirrored in her eyes, a reflection of the turmoil swirling inside him. Lennox glared, his smile twisting into a snarl. "You think your little friend can save you? How quaint. This is just a game, Ethan. A very personal game." He brandished the knife, the blade glinting ominously. Ethan's instincts roared. "I'll do whatever it takes to protect her." His voice cracked, desperation bleeding through. Just then, a figure burst from the shadows, stumbling into view. Blake, breathless and wide-eyed, stood just beyond the street lamp's glow. "Ethan. I'm here." He raised his hands, showing he wasn't armed, but the panic in his voice echoed Ethan's own fears. "What is going on? Get back!" Ethan yelled, but it was too late. Lennox's expression morphed from amusement to rage, and in that split second, the world turned chaotic. The knife flashed as Lennox lunged forward, aiming directly for Mia. Time slowed. The blade was a silver streak cutting through the air, a dark promise of pain. "No!" Ethan roared, lunging to intercept, willing to take the blow himself. But the unexpected happened. Blake leapt forward, tackling Lennox from the side. The two men collided in a vicious struggle, the knife clattering to the pavement, ringing like a death knell. Mia gasped, releasing a shuddering breath, her small frame frozen in shock. "Get it!" Ethan shouted, eyes burning with urgency as he gestured towards the knife sliding away. He didn't have time to think about who might win. Survival dictated his every move. Blake wrestled with Lennox, fists flying, desperation fueling each strike. "I've got him. Go!" The struggle was fierce, but Blake had always been the fighter, the person who wouldn't back down. Ethan rushed to the knife, fingers scraping against the rough pavement as he gripped the hilt. He turned just in time to see Lennox push Blake off, launching himself toward Mia. "Not again!" Ethan shouted, adrenaline roaring through him as he sprinted forward, the knife in hand, ready for a confrontation that felt inevitable. But the shout of sirens grew louder, a wail becoming real, wrapping around them in a blanket of hope. Lennox hesitated, just for a second, looking between Ethan and the sound of approaching rescue. That second was all Ethan needed. With a swift motion, he lunged, not to kill, but to stop. The knife was a boundary, a barrier. Leave her alone. Lennox's eyes filled with fury, but there was a flicker in the face of authority approaching. He was calculating, weighing his options. In that split moment, everything shifted. The flicker turned into a firestorm. You think this ends here? You're mistaken. He screamed, backing away, his hands raised, and then, with a twist that shocked Ethan, Lennox turned and ran into the shadows, a ghost fleeing into the night. The sirens blared louder, lights flashing as they closed in. Blake stood panting, a wild look in his eyes, pulse racing against the chaos of emotions. Ethan, what do we do now? He asked, desperation lacing his voice. Ethan looked back at Mia, whose face was pale but resolute. We get out of here. We find your mother. We find the truth, and we do it fast. As they moved together into the glow of the approaching lights, Ethan felt a creeping dread. Lennox would be back. It was never really over. What game would he play next? What devastating cards remained unseen in this unfolding nightmare? As they hurried toward the light, Ethan's mind raced. What price would he have to pay to protect those he loved? The night still held secrets, and soon enough, those secrets would rise to the surface. The flashing lights enveloped them, a cacophony of red and blue slicing through the night. But amidst the chaos, a shadow loomed in Ethan's mind. Lennox was still out there, plotting, lurking like an unseen predator. Ethan. We can't just stand here, Blake urged, the urgency in his voice slicing through Ethan's thoughts. The cops will handle it. We need to move before anyone notices. Before he could finish, an officer emerged from the crowd forming around the flashing cars. Tall, with a commanding presence, he scanned the area, then locked eyes on Ethan. You. What happened here? Ethan's voice was shaky but firm. We were attacked. He had a knife. Lennox. Mia. The officer's gaze snapped to the frightened girl still pressed close to Ethan's side. The concern in his eyes softened the tension but didn't ease Ethan's fears. Is she hurt? And no, Ethan stammered, glancing down to see Mia's wide blue eyes glisten with unshed tears. She was too young to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Gather your details. We need statements. The officer waved for backup, his focus shifting back to Blake and Ethan. But something about the way he stood, centered and solid, struck Ethan as unusual. He felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Mia nudged Ethan's arm. Can we go home, Ethan? Please. Her small voice broke through the tension, a plea that twisted like a knife in his heart. Yes, of course, he replied, his mind racing. We'll head home, but we need to make sure Lennox can't follow us. Blake stepped closer to the officer, lowering his voice. Listen, we can't stay here long. Lennox will come back. He won't let this go. With a grim nod, the officer motioned for them to step aside, pulling them out of earshot. I'll have people look for him. But you three need protection. He could strike again. From the corner of his eye, Ethan caught a flash of movement. A figure slipping between the shadows of the alley nearby. Panic punched him in the gut. No. We have to go now. Wait. The officer barked, but Ethan was already moving, grabbing Mia's hand and dragging Blake forward. They pushed through the crowd, adrenaline propelling them faster. The street felt alive as they rushed past terrified bystanders and surveyed the area until they reached Blake's car, parked a little ways down. Get in, Ethan ordered, keeping his eyes on the alley where he'd seen the shadow. His pulse thudded, an echo of dread. We need to get out of here before he finds us. Blake fumbled with the keys, the sound of metal clattering against itself while the pounding in Ethan's head grew louder. He couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted. Finally, the car door swung open, and they slipped inside, the locks clicking shut echoing too loud in the silence. Did you see him? Blake's face was a mix of determination and fear. No, but I felt it, Ethan replied. Like a chill, you know. Mia looked between them, her small hands gripping her knees, eyes darting. I don't want to be scared anymore, we'll figure this out, Ethan whispered, trying to comfort her. But uncertainty twisted in his gut as Blake started the engine. As they drove away, Ethan stared back at the scene, his mind churning with dread. What was Lennox planning? What would the next game be? Suddenly, a chilling thought struck him. What if Lennox was just the beginning? What if the truth they sought dug deeper than the scars he could see? The road twisted beneath the tires, and the night stretched out ahead, dark and foreboding. Somewhere, deep in that darkness, Lennox was lurking, plotting, waiting for the moment to pounce again. What had Ethan unleashed by confronting him? The thought gnawed at him as they sped away, and he knew one thing for sure, they weren't safe yet. Time was running out. And soon, the game would truly begin. Ethan sat in the car, the engine humming softly but his heart thrumming like a war drum. Mia's small hands were clasped in her lap, her cherubic face strained in confusion and fear. Blake's fingers gripped the steering wheel with white knuckles and eyes darting in the rearview mirror as if Lennox might leap from the shadows at any moment. Where do we go? Blake asked, breaking the tense silence. Ethan felt the weight of the world pressing down on him, pushing against his lungs as he struggled to breathe. The question lingered like a flaw in the air, sharp and uncomfortable. Home, Ethan said finally. Home isn't safe, but it's familiar. We need to regroup. Familiar isn't safe. Blake shot back, his irritation bubbling beneath the surface. He knows where you live, and so does she. Blake nodded toward Mia, who peered out of the window, her innocent blue eyes reflecting the chaos swirling around them. A heavy lump formed in Ethan's throat. Mia needs comfort, Blake. We'll figure out the next steps when we're there. He felt as if he were stepping deeper into quicksand, the more he fought, the deeper he sank. The darkness loomed everywhere, but he couldn't let it consume him. One wrong move could snuff out the light in Mia's eyes forever. As they drove, memories clawed at him, Sarah's panicked whispers, Lennox's cruel laughter, and the glint of the knife. The suffocating knowledge of Sarah's hidden past gnawed at him. Could he truly trust her? Dad? Mia's voice broke through his spiral of thoughts. She turned in her seat and reached for him. Is everything going to be okay? The question tore through his heart, a raw slice of desperation. Yes, sweetheart, I promise. But deep down, a voice echoed, could he keep that promise? They arrived at the mansion, its grandeur both familiar and intimidating. The darkness of the night swam at the edges of his mind, threatening to drown him in doubt. As Ethan stepped out into the moonlit night, he surveyed the area, scanning for shadows where danger could lurk. He took Mia's hand and led her inside, heart pounding, fear solidifying in his gut. Sarah? He called, moving through the house. Silence swelled, palpable and heavy. It was almost worse than the chaos awaiting outside. Sarah. Finally, from the shadow of the kitchen, she appeared, eyes wide and frantic. Ethan. Relief washed over her face. I was worried about you. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you, he shot back, the tension sparking between them like static. Lennox knows where we are. He won't hesitate to find you again, and he sure as hell won't spare Mia. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, and she looked down, guilt written large across her features. I didn't want this, Ethan. I thought I could protect her. Protect her from what? Ethan snapped. Your past. It left an acrid taste in his mouth. Yes. She pleaded. From people who don't understand when to stop chasing ghosts. I don't want him to hurt her. Something in Sarah's desperate tone pierced through his anger, making him hesitate. This wasn't just a game, it was survival. Then help me, Ethan said, voice softer now. Help us all. With tentative steps, Sarah advanced, her gaze flitting nervously to Mia. "I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe," she vowed, and for a fleeting moment, they held on to a glimmer of hope, fragile yet tangible. Suddenly, the sound of approaching sirens pierced the night. The hope fizzled as dread set in again. The police were here. Ethan's heart sank. "I was supposed to feel safer, but it only threw their lives into even more chaos." "Stay close," he instructed, pulling Mia beside him protectively. As officers flooded into the house, questioning began immediately. Ethan relayed their story, his voice steady yet haunted. Mia clung to his side, glancing at the uniforms with uncertainty, and then they heard it, a shrill ringtone coming from the kitchen. It was Ethan's phone, left on the counter. Glancing at Sarah, a shared look of realization solidified between them. They had a decision to make. Ethan darted toward the sound, urgency fueling his steps. He picked it up. Heart hammering as Blake shadowed him closely. "Ethan," a voice hissed through the line, familiar yet malicious, the unmistakable tone of Lennox. "You thought running home would save you? Where are you?" Ethan demanded, fists clenched. "Oh, I'm closer than you think, and I'm very eager to play again. This time, it's just you and me." Ethan's gut twisted. The darkness that had threatened to swallow him was now looming around his daughter, and he had to make a stand. "You come anywhere near her, I swear I'll—" But the line went dead. Fear boiled over, filling him with a rage he had never known. Heat coursed through his veins, adrenaline thrumming as he glanced back at Mia, who looked up at him with eyes brimming with confusion and trust. Guilt washed over him. He had gotten her tangled in this web. No more. He would end this. Turning to Sarah and Blake, a plan began to form. "We need to be ready for him. He thinks he controls the game, but we can turn the tables." "How?" Sarah breathed, determination sparking in her gaze. "He wants me. Let us give him what he wants, but on our terms." Blake frowned. "That's risky, Ethan. There are still too many unknowns. Risky is one thing. Watching him come for Mia is another. This ends now." Quiet determination settled over them, an unspoken commitment binding them together against the darkness. As Ethan prepared to confront the fear that loomed outside his door, something within him shifted. Fear might curl around him, but hope ignited like a flame, fierce and bright. "Together, we'll face whatever comes next," he said firmly, locking eyes with both Sarah and Blake. With solidarity coursing through their veins, they readied themselves not just for a fight, but for a stand. Time would tell what the future held, and with a deep breath, Ethan stepped into the night. Whatever shadows lurked ahead, he knew they would face them together. Family always found a way, and as he crossed the threshold out of the shelter of his home, he felt renewed purpose. He wouldn't just protect Mia, he would reclaim their lives from the shadows for good. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss any exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us spread the word. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear all your thoughts. Lastly, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this community growing strong.